society plants a series of illusions in the minds of men. If you're rich, good-looking, or successful enough, women will naturally flock to you. And you believe it because it's easy to believe. It creates clear, measurable goals, criteria you can count and compare. But the truth is much harsher. It's something you can't measure. You always sense it whenever she's cold, indifferent, or turns away despite you having done everything right. Women aren't attracted by logical standards. They yield only to an invisible force, a power that makes them feel inexplicably small. The more you try to rationalize it, the more you fail. Because attraction for them isn't something the rational mind controls. It's an instinct that compels them to surrender. Women don't look for nice men. They're drawn irresistibly to those who make them lose emotional control. Someone whose presence silently commands them impossible to resist. A powerful man never begs for validation. He makes the world bend to his will, including women. But if you still believe kindness, hard work, and doing exactly what society expects will win her over, then you're living in an illusion society has crafted to control the weak. Men don't fail because of incompetence. They fail because of misguided illusions. And nothing is more dangerous than a man who still believes that women love according to fairness. This isn't a story about becoming a better man. It's a story about how women truly choose quietly, subconsciously, instinctively. Not guided by logic, but by inexplicable feelings. Not the criteria you were taught, nor comforting advice, but by the invisible law of power as understood by Machiavelli, the man who grasped true power deeper than anyone else. You can do everything society tells you. Text on time, buy thoughtful gifts, listen carefully, give compliments at the right moments, and still end up rejected. Why? Because according to Machiavelli, women don't choose men based on morality or achievements crafted by society. They choose based on something far deeper. The power and charisma you naturally exude without even trying. For Machiavelli, true power isn't something you seek permission to show. It's something you make others feel in your presence. She doesn't submit to acts of kindness. She submits to the man who makes her feel small, who makes her question her own value. That man never begs for attention. He simply enters the room, and the atmosphere changes without him saying a word. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved." Women instinctively choose men who make them feel a bit insecure, someone they can't fully control or possess. This is something the weak never understand. The moment you try too hard to impress, you've already lost your power. Machiavelli asserted that true strength can't be begged or negotiated. It can only be felt and submitted to unconsciously. The harder you try, the clearer your weakness becomes. The cold truth is women don't respond to desperate efforts. They respond to the natural allure of a man whose very existence radiates power. When you stop begging to be chosen, you become her only choice, Machiavelli wrote. The strongest ruler never begs for loyalty. He simply leaves no other option but himself. A man who understands the rules of power never seeks approval, because he's the one who decides who deserves to be by his side. Attraction doesn't die from mistakes. It dies from becoming predictable. When you're always available, always present, always punctual, you're not a lover. You're just another item on her schedule. Plans don't ignite desire. They merely help her conveniently arrange her time with other men. Women don't crave what they already know. They're obsessed with what lies beyond their control. She needs mystery doubt, the uncertainty about whether you truly belong to her or not. Machiavelli calls this the art of ambiguity. using uncertainty to maintain power. When you reveal all your cards, you're no longer a challenger. You become the prey. The more predictable you become, the harder you try to prove your worth, the more you expose yourself. The quicker her desire fades. On the other hand, by only showing parts of yourself, you compel her to invest time, energy, and emotions into discovering you. That's when power lies in your hands. Never let her completely figure out your true intentions. Never give her certainty about whether you'll call today. Keep her guessing. Is he distant because he's busy, or because he's losing interest? Mystery isn't child's play. It's pure power. Status doesn't speak for itself. Society speaks for it. You can declare yourself strong, successful, or high value all you want, but she won't listen to your words. She watches how the world reacts to you. Women aren't convinced by speeches. They follow invisible social cues. The respectful glances from other men, the admiring silence from the crowd, and the way you enter a room as if you own it. Machiavelli understood this deeply. In The Prince, he wrote, "A ruler must always appear beloved, even if he's secretly feared." Impressions always matter more than reality. Women don't judge you by facts. They judge by how society responds to you. If other men respect you, if other women notice you, she will clearly feel it. No need to say a word, no need to prove anything. Status never needs to announce itself. It leaks naturally through your charisma and how others treat you. When you become the center of attention without fighting for it, you control the game. But if you must declare your value, you never truly had it. Women choose you not just for who you are, but because others treat you as someone important. In this game of power, society's gaze is the ultimate judge. Power comes from boundaries, not begging. She hurts you, provokes jealousy, withdraws, stays silent, or pushes your boundaries. Does it seem unreasonable? No. It's a power test. Women probe your limits like a strategist tests the enemy's defenses. If you're afraid of losing her, if you beg, explain, or tolerate disrespect, you've surrendered your role as a man. You've become merely a pawn in her game. This wouldn't surprise Machiavelli. He understood clearly. Power always belongs to those unafraid of losing. The man who can walk away calmly without complaints, without revenge, is the most formidable player. A truly valuable man never begs to stay. He quietly leaves when disrespected, without warnings or drama. And it's exactly this cold decisiveness that makes her desire remember and fear losing you more than any words of love or gifts. The more you beg, the more you confirm you're beneath her. But when you leave based on principle, not emotion, you assert that you possess something even more valuable than her yourself. The man who gets kept isn't the most obedient, but the one who sets clear boundaries and is always willing to enforce them. Instinct decides everything. Words won't save you. You can rehearse thousands of clever lines, create a flawless scenario, display refined manners, and memorize every flirting technique imaginable. But if her biological instinct isn't captivated by you from the first moment, everything you do afterward is pointless. Women don't choose men with logic. They choose with their bodies and primal instincts. Her heart races, her breathing deepens, her pupils dilate, and hormones flood her system, all before logical thought even kicks in. If you can't trigger this powerful instinctive attraction, even your best arguments are useless. According to Machiavelli, true power never resides in eloquent promises or persuasive arguments. It lies in harsh, unavoidable realities. Either she immediately feels small and vulnerable in your presence, or you're merely filling an empty space, Machiavelli emphasized. A true ruler doesn't persuade loyalty subjects, either submit immediately or never at all. Attraction works the same way. If you don't conquer her from the very start, you'll always remain a temporary option. She isn't won over by your words, but by the invisible power radiating from you when you enter a room. When you stand tall, maintain a cool gaze. Breathe deeply and steadily, speak slowly and firmly. You don't just project confidence, you force her to feel small and vulnerable. Machiavelli argued, the greatest power lies in making others question their position, leaving them no choice but to submit. But if your nervous talk too much, try too hard to make her laugh, or desperately prove your worth, she immediately marks you as not a real man, stripping you of all power. Machiavelli said, "Those who strive to please others are always despised because they reveal their need for approval." Want to win, Machiavelli would advise against using words to beg for attention. Instead, use silence, charisma, and your hidden inner strength to make her sense a power she can't understand, yet can't resist. End the chase. Become the chooser, not the chosen. Every weak person joins the chase. They run after approval validation and desperately hope to be chosen, especially by women. They live as if their value depends entirely on someone else's nod. But Machiavelli despised this. Those who hold power never wait to be chosen. They create their own standards. The transformation begins when you stop chasing acceptance and become the standard others must reach. You no longer ask, "Does she like me?" But instead, "Is she worthy enough to step into my world?" She'll immediately sense this shift. When you no longer need her, she begins to crave you. When you stop chasing, she becomes the one running to you. It's an unspoken rule that every woman instinctively follows. And when you become so unshakable that emotions don't sway, losses don't hurt you, and you no longer seek anyone else's validation. You cease being a player. You become the one who sets the rules,